Good morning, sisters. Let's start the session. Yeah, good morning. Sister, okay, it's okay already. I solved it for now. Yeah. Warm welcome to Abode Master, Brother Huang, Hualien Dharma team, and brothers and sisters around the globe to Saturday Hualien Dharma Talk. A very good morning. Let us start the session for today. Sincere reverence and respect for the teachers and the path. This is intercepted from Master Ching Yan's speech from Morning Volunteer Assembly on 21st April 2025. The Infinite Dharma Assembly never disperses. On Orchard Peak, the Dharma Assembly never disperses. Now, you are the ones spreading the Dharma. I am grateful for the modern technology that transmits these images back. You walk from the foot of the mountain all the way up. I am deeply moved by the solemn and vast procession. You carry my thoughts of gratitude and my devout heart as you head towards Vulture Peak, hoping the boundless Dharma Assembly will never fade. This is accepted by Sister Su Ching from Tzu Chi, Singapore. Most grateful. Now let us send our sincere prayers into the 10 directions. May the Saha world be free from disasters and peace prevails in the world. Let us sing the prayer song with sincere piousness. All my heart is filled with singing. All corners of the world, let us join our hearts and our and all. Thank you. May all minds be purified. May there be peace in the community. May there be no disasters in this world. With loving respect, gratitude, and confidence, let us wish every person in our life a healthy body and enlightened mind, a total fulfillment in universal love. Now, let us expand this consciousness to include every person in the world, every being in the universe. Let our unified love make this wonderful world even better. Let us all immerse ourselves in the joyful embrace of universal love. Before we hear the wondrous sharing review of our wondrous Lotus Sutra, let us invite abode masters to lead us in paying homage to Triple Gem. Let us pay our respects to these teachings and explanations to the Buddha and Master Cheng Yen by making 3 sincere bows. Please rise, palms together. First bow. Second bow. And third bow. And a bow to our beloved abode masters who could join us today. Hey, today we are most grateful to have with us our 3 powerful sharer, Brother Joe, Sister Hui Yee, and Brother Chong Kim Hong. Cảm ơn. Okay, let us before we start, let us pass this platform to Sister Moon for the
Sister Su Ching.
Yeah, I'll share the
That's right. Thank you. Okay, that's right. I can see it. Yeah. I will still be reading this for Sister Su Ching this morning because she's not back yet from overseas. We will begin with last week's Brother Joe's Dharma Insights. So here goes the Dharma poem by Sister Su Ching. Brother Joe reminds us this is his 20th iteration and review, still in chapter 1, with much more learning to pursue. The Buddha stood before vast crowds with wisdom bright and clear, preparing students yet to come in ages drawing near. The Dharma doesn't float alone nor keep itself alive. It needs devoted hearts to help its message to survive. So those who learn must also share and hold the truth with care, with minds and spirits open wide, alert and well aware. Can I have the next page, Sister? 80,000 followers from every walk and caste. Show Dharma suits all kinds of lives, both present, future, past. We learn the 12-fold chain that binds all life in endless spin, and how to trace each root and thread from where all things begin. We heard of noble teachers who could lead with humble grace. The ones they too were seekers, striving, stumbling in their place. We learning not for selfish aims nor momentary pride, but so the next bright minds can grow with us as humble guide. The Buddha's form defies all thought. The Buddha's form defies all thought. It isn't bound or fixed. It rises not from cause or time, nor in dualities mixed. The truth has always been like light before the flame was found, not waiting for a voice to name the law that knows no bound. Illusion hides and yet reveals the deeper truths within. And chasing forms alone may block the path to where we have been. So look not just for solid proof, but seek what it can teach. The Dharma lives where effort meets the truths we strive to reach. The next was shared by the question and answer session with Brother David Liu. If Myanmar holds truth where Buddha's words still stay, and monks have walked its hills in mindful steps each day, then why did trembling earth not spare that sacred land? Can wisdom thrive where loss we cannot understand? No land is spared, no faith immune from nature's call. Karma moves through deeds, not chance alone at all. The road is shown by prayer, but walked by what we do. So follow Dharma not in thought, but in action true. We see Penang volunteers now helping on Myanmar's land, with kindness shared through action and not just word or hand. The need is deep, the wound still wide across that zone. Can more step forth to serve, or must they go alone? Su Ching's aid in Myanmar faces trials, hard to bear. Offices closed, yet volunteers show strength in prayer. The government insists all aid must come in their way. But Su Ching moves with care, guided by affinity each day. Su Ching calls for kindness, joy, and hearts that care. But do experienced volunteers leave new ones in despair? When voices go unheard and hearts feel left behind, is this the spirit of Su Ching that we truly want to find? We come to grow, not to let our egos rise, guided by Dharma, where true wisdom lies. No ranks to pull, no conflict to ignite, but harmony and peace to share in light. A diligent trainee meets each goal with care, but arrogance shows a trait that's hard to bear. Should they be chosen, though the work is done, is this the right path for what's to come? And Brother David's answer is, Master asks who's free from habits deep within, yet each must face their flaws and strive to begin. Acknowledge what we hold and take steps to mend. It's not the goal to fix, but where we intend. The effort lies in us, not others on our mind. Our growth is in ourselves, where true change we'll find. Master's compassion leads, with patience on display. We work on inner change, and in that, find our way. The next is a sharing by Sister Riani on empowering refugees through cash-based intervention. In 2017, Sister Riani started to take the lead, a project born from hearts and a noble need, with Su Ching and UNHCR in Malaysia joining hands to uplift refugees through care that understands. Brother Andy and Sister Wan Chin inspired the way, their dedication shining bright each day. Direct aid reached over 4,000 lives, empowering families where dignity thrives. Through the pandemic in 2021's many calls, helped 819 families stand strong through it all. Minors were sheltered, lives were reset. Through CBS help, hope wasn't lost yet. Ali, once full of anger, now finds peace. His trauma healed, his pain released. He has a YouTube channel now to help others grow, a transformation from pain to glow. A maths genius from Myanmar found his way, a family resettled in the USA. They keep in touch, sending love and care, blouses for volunteers, a bond so rare. From a few to 30, the group has grown, selfless volunteers with hearts full shown. In Setapak, tea time saw over 100 come, refugees joining, making the event hum. Through the years, bento boxes delivered over 10,000 strong, so refugees are given back where they belong. Recycling centers in neighborhoods thrive with their aid. Through lifeline support, bright futures were made. Unconditional giving, a sincere act of heart. No privilege, just love playing its part. Sister Rieni calls us all to step forward and see a movement of hope where all can be free. Volunteer your time, engage with the cause, contribute your resources, break down the walls, inspire others, make a difference today, empower families, light their way. This journey continues, together we stand, lifting refugees with a compassionate hand. Kanan for listening, and thank you, Sister Su Ching. Good morning. I'll continue from here. Good morning, brothers and sisters, Brother Joe, Sister Hui Yee, and Brother Chong. I will be your host for this morning. You know, the coming preparation for Buddha's Day, see a lot of our brothers and sisters having to go for rehearsals and activities all over the place. I will start by calling on Brother Joe for the continuation of his Dharma Insights from the previous session. Good morning, Brother Joe. Over to you.
Thank you, Sister Mu. Thank you for those wonderful recitation. Yes, indeed, and I just actually looked it up. Today is my 30th. So last time I actually mentioned it wrong. Today is my 30th iteration of the Sutra of Infinite Meanings today. So I think we are definitely taking our time and making sure that we sort of got all these basics. But just like every time we start off with a poem to recite what was happening before, to make us remember what was happening before, I think that was the key, was that also we want to sort of remember what we had before. Okay, so now let's begin. So today we are continuing on the Sutra of Infinite Meaning. And previously, we actually had gone through the previous 8 sections, and we are coming towards the end of chapter 1. It's definitely coming. We are now praising. Okay, so very quickly go through what happened before. We're talking about, for the Dharma to be sustainable, there must be some sort of change. It's after 40 years of preaching and 40 years of observing how the disciples are interacting, how the disciples are learning, and how the people and how the world has changed. So now comes a very crucial juncture where we must be looking to the future and changing and thinking about change. The 80,000 bodhisattvas are actually letting us know that even back at the time when the population is sparse and it's very scattered, there are still so many people that is coming to learn. And the reason simply is because that the Dharma fits everyone and the Dharma applies to everyone. And amazingly, it's almost like the Buddha was able to tell the future, that at the time back then, when the world was much more closed off and the caste was very clear and very impossible to separate, impossible to merge, the future will be like right now, where we are talking about equality, where we're talking about a lot more things where equality is very, very important. So definitely, this is the Dharma for our time, even though it came from a time when things are very, very different. And the reason is very simple, because the Dharma fits across time. Dharma fits everyone. And attaining wisdom, this part talks about how the students can learn. As a student of Dharma, what is the best attitude for them to be able to learn, for them to be able to continue on their path of cultivation? And they talk about must be diligent, keeping the hearts and minds open, and be observant. And the 12 links of causes talks about the very basic, the very fundamental understanding of cause and conditions. Then we talked about students becoming the teacher. And this is sort of the very major turning point, where no longer are we talking about each individual being practitioners and cultivators. We're now talking about you also having to be able to lead and to teach others. And we are talking about the different examples where the disciples are now becoming the teachers. And most importantly, we know that these are not perfect, yet they're there, yet they are, they become the great teachers. And these are all important points to let us know that we are preparing for the future. And even though some of us, I mean, not some of us, all of us are not perfect, but we can do what we can to make up for it. And we also talk about the attitude to learn. We talk about the importance of learning to have this very clear path and clear understanding of what I want to be or what I need to be. Therefore, they're able to learn much better. So in section 8, we're talking about starting the praise for the Buddha. No defilement, no contamination or attachments. And we're talking about the fragrance and the permeation. And so that was the part where we were talking about the Buddha himself, how he became our teacher, how he became the teacher of Dharma, and what kind of important attributes that he must possess. And last week we got into section number 9, neither existent nor non-existent. And these are the beginning of the praises that are in stanza form. I mean, last time it was already like this, but now it goes into a much more cryptic, much more poetic, much more philosophical. So it first starts out by talking about neither existent nor non-existent, and arises from neither causes nor conditions, and does not discriminate self from others. So that was the first part. And we talked about what does it mean to be neither existent nor non-existent, arises from neither causes nor conditions. And we talked about, I used an example of the Los Angeles fire, how we tend to be very distracted. We need to focus. And that was the whole point, was that the problems has always been there, just like the answers were. The problems that we each have, our afflictions, all the conflicts that there is in the world, that has always been there, right? It didn't just surface. It didn't just manifest itself. It has always been there, just like the answers has always been there. So it's not about existent nor non-existent. It's about what can we do about it, and what should we do about it. The debate should not be, does this problem exist? The debate should be, what should we do about it? And this has always been the case, where people and human beings are very, very concerned about, where did the problem happen? And it's sort of, and it's important, don't get me wrong, that we don't want to trace and figure out to the bottom of the problem, right? Get to the bottom of the problem. No, that's important too. That's just our senses of discovery, senses of complete understanding. Why was there a problem? Yet, when the problem is so big and the problem is so in front of you, the problem is so immediate, that it is not the time for us to focus on why is it coming? Why is this happening? Right? Rather than let's face the problem, right? So I think this is trying to tell us, right, that we know the problems has always been there, and yet we are still trying to figure, we're instead of figuring out how to overcome the problem, we're stuck in trying to debate what if the problem has always been there. And I think, or who made the problem. Okay, so that's one of the things that we always get stuck on is, you're trying to focus on facing the problem, then we're trying to figure out, well, who caused it, right? Why did you do this? Well, who caused it? And that always sidetracks us to something else. Now, all elements must exist at the same time. What that means is that all these things were already there, and the elements of the problem has always been there. It just needed something to be ignited. It just needed something to start. So all the elements, in terms of cause and condition, all the conditions were there already. It just needed one last part to link all these elements up to create a problem or to create a solution. And that has always been there. So rather than talking about where did the Buddha come from or how did he become Buddha, we must think about what did the Buddha teach us. So neither talking about, whoa, was this the first time? Was this the first Buddha? Who was the first Buddha? Instead of thinking about all of that, we should be focusing on what did the Buddha teach us. And the Buddha taught us that all the elements were already there. It's almost like all the pieces were already in front of you. We just need to arrange the last pieces to fit into the one perfect puzzle. Okay? So the key is, what do we do about it now? The key is, now that we know the problem, what do we do about it now? And what can we do in the future? And that was the part where the Buddha wants us to focus on, let's do something about it now. We know these afflictions. We know that we're not perfect. We know that there are things that's stopping us, that's preventing us from getting to become the better us. So what can we do and what should we do? So this week, continuing on this section, right, we're talking about his body is neither existent. Now we're moving on. Arises from neither causes nor conditions, and does not discriminate itself from others. The Buddha came to the world for the sake of one great cause. That's what Master always tells us, for the sake of the one great cause. Unlike ordinary beings who are led and affected by their actions, karma, and consciousness. So what this means is, and this is something that we should know ourselves, is that there is nothing that's pulling me or pushing me. For the Buddha to be here, for the Buddha to come and to tell us the Dharma, for the Buddha to come and to lead us, to explain, there is nothing that's pulling. There's no cause or condition. Oh, it's because Buddha is repaying this world with kindness, or there is a pull of causes or the push of conditions. It's not like that. For the Buddha, it came from his vow. And this is the part where we are now once again affirmed that there are causes and conditions, but there are powers that's much greater than just the causes and conditions. And what are they? That is vow, the power of vow. And this vow is powerful enough that it can overcome these pulls and pushes of causes and conditions. Now, I'm not saying that the power of your vow is going to be greater such that you can escape the law of causes and condition and karma. It doesn't work that way. However, you can work it. It's not like you are powerless in the law of karma. You have the power. You have the power. You have the hands and the power to push that wheel also. You are not just a helpless leaf that's floating on the river, that is carried on by the push of all the water that's pushing you to the next phase. No, you have the power that in the river, long river of cause and conditions, that you have the power to guide yourself to through vows. Okay, so how can one escape the rule of cause and effect? Did Buddha not have to follow this rule? Of course, the cause and effect. And we also learn that even though the Buddha made wonderful affinity with the sentient beings, there are still those like Devadatta, right? There are still those that have very, very bad affinity with Buddha, and they have come to do harm to Buddha. And even though the Buddha has already experienced perfection, there's still remaining things that the Buddha must repay, right? So there were various stories that the Buddha is now repaying, and also following the rules of cause and effect. However, the whole point is that the Buddha was free of the 12 links. The 12 links tells you that everything starts from affliction. Everything starts from the inner affliction that we all have. You are breaking out of the 12 links. And because of this, you don't rely on the affinities with the parents to come to this world. That's what the master said, right? We come to this world because our parents gave birth to us. And in the terms of Buddhism and the Buddhist teachings, we are born because there's affinity that we have with our parents and the affinity that we have with this world. Whether we're coming for retribution, whether we're coming to repay our kindness, whichever way it might be, we are here because we're pulled in. Because there's certain things we still need to finish, because there are certain things that are unfinished. That's why we're here. Buddha wasn't like this. Buddha breaks out of the 12 links. Buddha could have chosen that, they're just like any other Buddhahood, that you are free to go, free to come, and free to go. And therefore, Buddha didn't need to come to our world of suffering, but Buddha chose to come here. And this was the example that the master always uses, like when we do prison visiting, right? We are free to go. We are not in prison because we were pulled in. We were pushed in. No, we were not. It's not because we committed crime, therefore we had to have the sentence to go to prison. No, we are free to go. We choose to go there because that was our goal. Our goal, our vow was to go there and help those people that are inside, help the inmates that were there. So that's what it means to be free of these attachments, free of 12 links that attach us and pull us into the world of suffering. He was free, okay? So that was what it means. It doesn't mean that you already escaped the rule of cause and effect. It just means that you are not pulled and pushed into this. You have the great vow to tell you that I am here because I am on my own accord. You still have to follow the rule, right? The rule was still there, that if you establish good affinity, that in the future, then there's going to be a lot, very good affinity with each other, right? So the 12 links originates from this affliction, right? Everything starts from this affliction. And the entire cycle happens after the initial affliction was already there. So with the Buddha, there was already breaking, right? Breaking from this affliction. Therefore, you are no longer tangled in this link where you must do certain things, or you are pushed, or you are forced to do certain things. So that's why it was very important that neither did not come to this world because of cause and affinity. Okay? And this is what I was talking about. There are huge and powerful forces at play, right? There are these causes and conditions. We talk about the 12 links, right? But you can always make great vows to overcome. You are still in this rule. The rule still applies to you, right? The rule still applies to you. For example, in our world, the rule is there's gravity, right? What goes up must come down. But can you make something that defy gravity? Yes. We made airplanes. We have physics. We have understandings that allow us to defy gravity. But when those powers are gone, you still have to apply. The gravity is still there. You did not escape the law. The law of gravity is still there. But you have greater forces. Now allows you to temporarily or to permanently, depending on what kind of power that is, to overcome that. Does that mean that you don't have to follow the law? No, you still follow the law. You just have the much greater forces to overcome that. Okay, just like we're all going to age, we're all going to get old, and eventually we're all going to face death. That's what each individual is. But can we have huge and powerful forces to allow us to live longer than normally? Yes. If you can follow a life, lead a life of healthy livelihood, right? You exercise, you eat right, you think right, you have the right, the right way of living. Can you defy? You are still bound by this, by this law, but you are now you have a much better advantage in playing in this law, because now you put more forces into this. Okay, so you can always make this great vow, and the great vow equates to action. It equates to consistent and perseverance to overcome all these forces at play. Okay, so what this meant is that you don't escape, but you can make the great vows, just like the Buddha. You have it in you too, and you can do it too. So that's what this part is telling us, right? This section is a dedicated praise for Lord Buddha, but it's more of a praise for the truth, or the true teaching, right? We now know that the answer has always been there, that the elements has always been around us. It's just needing us to be connecting to them. We have always had the power of vow. We have always had the power of vow to allow us to overcome certain things. We've always had it. It just needed time and needed somebody to sort of get that out of us. So even though later on we're going to be getting more into more poetic parts and philosophical parts, and it was started as a dedication for the Buddha, but it's really more of a praise for the truth. And in the future sessions, we're going to be talking about more about this. We're going to be talking about how the next part is going to be the praise for the truth itself. But before we end today, so I wanted to talk about the power of the vow. And the reason why I think this is important is Buddha showed us, right? Buddha showed us, just like right here, Buddha showed us that with great vow, you can most definitely, within the law of karma, within everything, you can make great changes. You have it too. We all have it too. And you can make these great vows and make differences also. It's understandable that we all are in this great river of time, that whatever happens is, we're sort of, a lot of it is that we are powerless to control our destiny. But Buddha is telling us, you do. You have the power to control destiny. It might not be today you make a change, tomorrow you see the change. But if you start the change today, you will see the changes in the future. But you have to be persevering. You have to be willing. You have to be diligent. You have to be open. You have to be willing to open your minds. You have to do all those things that you can do, that you can learn as a student, as we covered before. And you can do all these things as a great teacher. But all these things are compiled so that we now know that we can also be a great force, a powerful force, where we are no longer just some leaf that's being pushed along by the water in the river. We can now sort of navigate our way. It doesn't mean that you are out of the river. It means that now you're in this river, you can navigate better. You can go faster or go slower at your own will. And you can go right or left if you wish. You are no longer powerless in this stream of life. However, we are still on this path, on this river. You are now out of the river, okay? So it's something that the Buddha is guiding us, that telling us you can do it too. So I think that's a very powerful message that we should all take it to heart. And thank you. And as Sister Mu mentioned before, that today is already May 10th, and tomorrow is going to be May 11th, which is going to be our Buddha's birthday celebration for this year. And I would like to wish all the mothers in the world a happy Mother's Day and tomorrow, and also rejoice in the day of gratitude, to be grateful for the Buddha, for our teachers, for all sentient beings, and for each other. Thank you and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Brother Joe, for your morning insights. I'm sure everybody every morning and Saturday look forward to your session, because it really helps to guide us towards a better understanding of the sutra for every section. And for me personally, it helps me to make the right reflection, and I see it as learning how to be on the path towards the right view. And I think that is very important, the path towards the right view. Thank you, Brother Joe. But before you go, perhaps we can share a picture session together. Sister Su Ching, do we take a picture together?
Yeah, let's take a group picture.
Okay. Can I call on the brothers and sisters to perhaps switch on your camera and put on your early morning smile?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Okay, done. Cảm ơn Brother Joe for the powerful sharing. Cảm ơn. Most insightful. Cảm ơn. Okay, over to you. Back to you, Sister Moon. Cảm ơn.
Thank you very much, Brother Joe. Our next speaker is Sister Hui Yee, right? I think Sister Hui Yee needs no introduction. She has shared her story with us before. And the story is, for those, if I could refresh a little bit of your memory, is Sister Hui Yee shared how she could seamlessly weave Tzu Chi activities into these, the Tzu Chi activities with the spirit, with our spirit of humanity, of great love, and of purpose into her professional life. And today we will see that by taking these principles and these virtues that she get from Tzu Chi into that otherwise factful and technical profession. She is today well recognized for that. And I would like to call on everybody to congratulate Sister Hui Yee, because the recognition has given her, won her an award for the Toko Pekerja Negara Executive 2025, which is a huge recognition from the Association of Professors, from the Academy of Professors. So congratulations, Sister Hui Yee. We are very, very proud of you. So today, I think, Sister Hui Yee, you will share with us the interrelation between virus, animals, and human in zoonotic diseases. All right, we are all excited to hear. Over to you.
Thank you, Sister Tay, and very good morning to everyone. So today, you see that today I'm changing my uniform to a teacher association's uniform. So meaning that today I will be as the role as a teacher to share my knowledge on the research that I'm doing, which is I really focus on the vector-borne diseases and also zoonotic, meaning that animal-borne diseases. So let me share my slide. Yeah, as introduced by the Sister Tay. So today I'm actually to share my research, a little bit of my research. Of course, I cannot be very technical, which is I've done, and also some other informations that I have gathered throughout my years of research. Yeah, just a very quick recap on the different size of the viruses and bacteria, as well as the human red blood cell. So RBC is a human red blood cell. It's so huge. And the virus actually are very tiny that we are unable to see using our naked eyes. Even we have to use a microscope to see the bacteria, but we are unable to see the virus using a normal light microscope. We have to use higher power or higher technology types of a microscope to see the virus itself. So these small tiny creatures, I would say that these small tiny creatures actually have a huge impact on human health. So throughout the years in the record, history record, there is several of huge virus outbreak. I think the most recent one everyone will know that is the SARS-CoV-2. So this is just to recap on whatever viruses outbreak since the history that is a record, which is in 1556, which is the first record of the flu infections. So it says that there is a first flu infection has been recorded, causing 20% mortality, meaning that 10 people infected, 2 persons will die during that time. Then after that, which is nearer to us, is 1918, which is we always remember about this Spanish flu during the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic. This has been brought out, Spanish flu, and because of this virus outbreak, that's caused the end of the World War I. And then slowly you will see that every 40 years, you will see there is another flu outbreak. And this flu outbreak actually bring the developments of the vaccine. So it start to save the life of human being. So you will see that the death toll actually been reduced in 1957. It's due to the developments of the vaccine, the use. And then slowly you will start to see that it's the use of the vaccine, which is born in 1969. So during that time, there is a Hong Kong flu, also caused by avian influenza, H3N2, and causing 750,000 deaths. And in 2009, then you start to see that the great reduction in terms of the mortality. This is thanks to the development of the vaccine. So now I just want to bring everyone through these several kind of pandemic or epidemic. I think I have been mentioning that in 2009, but you start to see that there is a difference in terms of the types of the influenza A virus. So I think to everyone's very famous is H1N1. When we talk about influenza A, everyone think about H1N1. However, we also have others strain, which is H7N9, H5N1 as shown here. And then you start to see there is a different outbreak recorded at the different years. Why this happened? And when this happened, what is happening to the avian or to the soil? This is the facts that during the outbreak, there is a culling of the animals to stop the spread of the virus among the avian, as well as to prevent the transmissions of the virus to the workers, especially farmers. So among the farmers, they are the first who catch the virus, and later on they will spread the virus to their friends and family members, and or those who are actually closely related with them, interacting with them. How about the emerging viruses? So I think in 2014, there is a huge outbreak of Ebola virus, followed by rabies. Even though rabies is rare in Peninsula Malaysia, however, it did happen in Sabah, Sarawak. And of course, the most recent people have been talking about is a monkeypox virus, or causing the monkeypox, causing the mpox diseases, which has been also now circulating, causing some infection. So if, let's say, infections happen in human, what happened? Looking at the Ebola virus, you will see that these are the news that have been seen on newspaper or TV show or news, that they can just people just die on the roadside, by the roadside, and they just buried, as what is shown in the photos here. And rabies virus is a very dangerous virus because once you have a clinical symptoms appear, and 100% mortality. So how to prevent this? Rabies virus is to use a vaccine. If you have any pet, dog, so you have to ensure that you have bring your pets for vaccination, rabies virus vaccination. And this is captured in 2019 that while it's a Sahabat Alam Malaysia have actually recorded the disheartened to learn that the culture of eating dogs. Eating dogs is not Malaysian culture. However, because of a lot of foreign workers here in Malaysia, so they already bring their culture into Malaysia. So we hope that our authority can do something to stop this kind of actions to save the dogs and the cats. And this is a record in, I'm just captured from the news, monkeypox virus in 2024. Of course, right now we still have the cases. So has been 11 cases reported since 2023, but up until now, we have recorded more than 11 cases. These cases, monkeypox actually transmitted originally from animal and then to human, now is among the humans. But usually it's based, if you are having a close contact, skin to skin contact with the infected person, then you will get infected. It's not like SARS-CoV-2, which spread through the droplets. So while we will say that monkeypox still able to be contained, if let's say we know that the person has been contracted with the monkeypox, and then we will just prevent to have the skin to skin or very close contact with the person. So just to show you photos on a severe condition, I'm talking about a severe condition. I think those that have born in 1960s, in 1950s, you still remember about the smallpox, which we have vaccinations. For smallpox, and smallpox in 1980 has been eradicated by vaccine, through vaccine. However, monkeypox are still unable to do the eradication because it's not very how contagious. We're talking about it's not very contagious. However, when the children contracted with the virus, it was more severe compared to the adults. So we are trying to avoid the close contact of the children with the adults who are infected. So, and the new viruses, I think those in about my age, I think you still can recall about the Nipah virus, which has happened in the Sungai Nipah in Port Dickson, my hometown. And during that time, because I have quite numbers of the schoolmates, the parents are actually a pig farmer, so they actually raise the pig actually at their backyard. So when we over go there to visit my friends, we can smell the feces of the pigs, you know. So you can imagine the whole kampung, Kampung Nipah, have a very spacious smell. And in 2003, there is an outbreak of SARS coronavirus 1, or we called it SARS, and followed by MERS, the Middle East coronavirus in 2012. And in 2019, there is a big outbreak of the SARS-CoV-2. So the scientists actually have postulated that the next pandemic most likely will be caused by coronavirus, because coronavirus is a group of the viruses that have cross species, meaning that it can have the host from the wild animal jump to the human. There's various types of wild animal carry different types of coronavirus. So let's recall the history of the outbreak of Nipah virus in 1999. Actually, the researchers have found out that the Nipah virus, the host for the Nipah virus is actually a bat, fruit bats. So the bats actually eat the fruits, which is nearby the farm, the pig farm, And the droplets of their urine, the urines, and also the saliva that contain the virus from the fruits that have eaten by the bats has been contaminated or taken by the pig. And the farmer have a very close contact with the pig, handling the sick pig and touching their discharge. This is how the virus has get infected to human. But during that time, we will say that we are fortunate that the virus has not been spread from human to human. However, even though Nipah virus is that means since 1999, there's the first outbreak, up until now, 20 over years later, we still not encounter any second outbreak in Malaysia. However, there is the Nipah virus outbreak in Pakistan and India. So in Pakistan and India, it's different. They are not actually transmitted by the pig, but it's directly from the urine of the bats have contaminated the food, especially the palm sap food that they collect and drink as raw. And this is happening. And during that time in 1999, when you know that I show you when there is an outbreak in the population, in the animal population, mass culling will be the only way to do. So I just want to show you a video on what is happening during the incidents.
Almost 1 million pigs, virtually half the industry, shot and shoveled into pits on the farms.
So you can see that this is how the actions of culling with the animals. So they just buried the animal alive and they can just shot the animal to make the animal die. And of course, you will start to see that it's there's an outbreak of the African swine fever virus, even though African swine fever virus has not been reported to infect human, but virus is very clever. They are very tiny, so they are very simple, meaning that they can easily mutate their gene. So if you go through the SARS-CoV-2 history, from the first started from the Wuhan, and slowly you will start to hear about the variant of concern, a VOC, which is like alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and omicron. So these are because the virus actually changing their genetic due to mutation and due to some selective pressure, and then they will change. Once they change, they either become more powerful or they are unable to survive. So along the way, more powerful or more pathogenic, we call more pathogenic virus will appear. And when this virus appear, this virus may be able to adapt to the human body. Once they have already start to adapt to human body, to human escape from the human immunity, that is how the virus will be able to spread from human to human. We do not know when will happen, but definitely this virus will mutate along the way when they are replicating in the host cells. So this just to capture the history of the SARS-CoV-2, which Malaysians MOH actually reported a case report unknown pneumonia of unknown cause from China. And this is how the outbreak of the SARS-CoV-2 began. So you see these two pictures at the bottom. You can recall that it's similar picture that you have seen from the animal itself. The buried of the body and the burning of the body. So actually, when you think about it, and human is just like an animal. Okay, so we are actually an animal, Homo sapien. So you see that similar things will happen on human. And the UN actually have made a statement saying that there are 2 million people die of zoonosis each year. And SARS-CoV-2 is not the only or the last pandemic. There are more coming and more frequent you will see that. This is due to the deforestations and massive farming. You will see that how this cow has been raised in the farm and chicken and the pig. So this is a very close interaction of each of the animal. And when one animal falls sick, the virus can spread easily. And because of the deforestations, all these wild animals, actually, they carry a lot of viruses at which scientists are unable to track or doing a research on these viruses because it's a wild animal. And usually scientists, we only focus on the infectious diseases or the virus that is affecting human and affecting the domestic livestock. So these are the wild animals that scientists are clueless about the viruses that they carry. So when these wild animals have a close contact with all these farm animals, they will be easily to transmit the whatever viruses carry in the wild to the livestock. And workers were actually interacting with all these animals, the farm animal or the livestock, and then they are the first person who will contact with any new virus infection. And another worried about the permafrost is beginning to thaw, which scientists has found a zombie virus, which has been actually sleeping in 48,000 years ago. So why this happened is because of deforestations and because of global warming. I think everyone know what is the cause of global warming. Extensive, massive farming is one of the cause of the global warming. And if, let's say, we reduce the consuming, to reduce the consume of the meat, we actually can reduce or slow down. We are unable to stop the global warming, but we are able to slow down the rate of the global warming. And in 2018, a group of scientists from 10 countries, they have gathered together and they have looked for the money. They have contributed a lot of research funding to go into the jungle to look for any potential zoonotic viruses. Why they want to look for that? This is because scientists all know that the next pandemic will be caused by zoonotic origin, meaning that from animal jump into human. This is 2018. And what happening in 2019? There is the outbreak of SARS-CoV-2, which is also as the zoonotic virus. So we afraid, but I think it's happening during the pandemic, SARS-CoV-2 pandemic, which the wipe up, this small little creature actually wipe up quite a numbers of the human population. So they say that it will revenge the human population. So the human biggest enemy, well, some people say that it's ourselves, but in terms of the those that were doing research, zoonotic viruses is the human biggest enemy. Just to show you some figures, World War I, 15 million people die. World War II, 50 million people die. But during that time, when I have these informations, viruses causing the death more than people dying due to the war of World War I and World War II. And even influenza virus itself is causing more death than the World War I, and as well as the HIV and SARS-CoV-2. So because currently we didn't report the number of deaths caused by SARS-CoV-2. It's not like the 3 years ago, we had to, each of the death cases, we had to report. But now it's not mandatory for us to report. So what are the hosts for the zoonotic viruses? As listed here, you will see that rat, and they are carrying so many pathogens. However, hantavirus, Lassa fever, hemorrhagic fever are not discovered or not detected in Malaysia, but in other countries. And from cow, some of the pseudo cowpox, all this one can be transmitted to human. And bats, Nipah virus, SARS-CoV-2 has been traced to bats. That is the one who bring the virus to the intermediate host, which is another type of animal, and transmitted to human. Avian, I think everyone know avian influenza, and rabies. Of course, for the pig, we have the this one, the swine influenza virus. So why scientists worry about virus infections? Yeah, because some of the animal, especially the bats, they are their natural host, so they didn't carry any symptom. Or even wild animal have symptom, we also don't care because it's a wild animal. So animal usually have no clinical symptom, but they already start to spread the virus. Human also with no clinical symptom, they can start to spread the virus. So we call this animal and human that without clinical symptom are a big bomb. Yeah, a bomb, a walking bomb. We say that it's a walking bomb. It walk around, it will start to spread the virus. So you see the difference between SARS-1 in 2003 and SARS-CoV-2 in 2019. The difference is that the SARS-CoV-1 only spread the virus when the patient have symptom. So once the patient have a symptom, they were able to control themselves or contain themselves or isolate themselves, or the hospital will isolate them, or the authority will isolate them, so that they can cut the transmission road. However, for SARS-CoV-2, the patient without symptom is able to transmit the virus to another person that who nearby, close contact with them. So this is the danger of all the scientists are worried about. In the future, there may be another SARS-CoV-2 have a similar transmission route that no symptom, but they are able to transmit. This is due to the incubation period. Each of the virus will have the incubation period. Some is three days, some up to 1 month, and like HIV can up to 3 months that without symptom. But the body already have the HIV virus and capable of transmitting the virus. So how to avoid being infected by zoonotic viruses? I think very simple. Do not touch, breed, or handle or eat any animals. So whether it's a livestock or wild animal, we just stop that. Then it will able to prevent the new zoonotic viruses being introduced to the human population. So just a quick information regarding some data, which is published in 2020. That is about the time during the COVID outbreak. So this information is, this data are actually prior the outbreak, the pandemic outbreak. So you see the figure. If you add in the SARS-CoV-2, the figure will increase tremendously. So this is a zoonotic disease, why is related to food and pandemic. Why? Because of the human close contact with the animal. So the data saying that 1 out of 4 on the planet is affected by a zoonotic disease. So this is before COVID. So when you include COVID, most likely it will become 1.5 or 2 out of 4 people on the planet is infected or affected by the zoonotic diseases. So when you compare the people die because of the zoonosis compared to the diabetes or car accident, it's doubled. So it's much higher that rate compared to the diabetes and the car accident. So the figure indicated of the report shows that 75% of the newly emerging infectious diseases are zoonosis. Yeah, and 60% of the infectious diseases in human are spread from animal. This figure is huge. Yeah, 60% of the infectious diseases in human. So zoonotic diseases are responsible for an estimated of 2.5 billion cases of illness that is before COVID pandemic and 2.7 million deaths worldwide each year. So by including the COVID, it will increase tremendously. So why we are so concerned about the wild animal? Yeah, because of the interactions, the farming, the animal agriculture, which we need land, and farmer will do, or the whatever agriculture industrial will cut down the trees to free the land for farming, for animal agriculture. So human will have a very close contact with all these animals. First, the wild animal will have a very close contact with the farm animal, and the human will have the close contact with the farm animal. So this is a cycle. And of course, with human enter to the forest to cut down the tree, to empty the land, you will have interactions with the wild animal. Plus, some of the country, they are actually eat the bush meat. So the bush meat, when they are handling the wild animal, they may be also get infected by the virus from the dead animal body. And also the ecosystem diversity have been disturbed, global warming, and another potential spillover will be by the insect bites. Yeah, the insect bites the animal and suck the blood, which may contain the virus, and transmit the virus to the human through a blood sucking vectors, for example, mosquito or a tick. So this is also a cycle of potential transmission route that human will get infected by an unknown or a new virus. Now, I think influenza virus are more familiar to everyone. So you can see that this picture shows that in 2018, that 73 billion chicken, duck, geese, and the turkey have been slaughtered, and 1.5 billion domestic pigs slaughtered in 2018. So when you add it up, it's actually bigger population than the world population. Yeah, world population is only 7.7 billion. However, we kill 10 times farm animal for human consumption. So it's a very huge figure. And when you transmit this one to interactions, yeah, and influenza virus, they have 8 genetic material, 8 pieces of genetic material. So like a string, so they can easily mix around. So for example, a pig being infected by a swine influenza virus, and then just coincident is also infected by an avian influenza virus, or unfortunately, the human actually transmit the virus to the pig, that means from the farmer. So the pig actually contain 3 different types of viruses from 3 different hosts. And they will mix in the body of the pig through the replication. And the mix and match, they will generate a new virus strain. So a new strain of influenza virus will derive from these numbers of interactions. 7.7 billion of world population, 73 billions of the avian, and 1.5 billion of the swine actually interacting. So 82 million life are interacting. So you will cause a lot of new strain of influenza virus emerge. So that's why we call emerging infectious diseases. So this is just to recap on what are the viruses that can infect the human. See so many of these viruses that are infecting human, but why we are not fall sick every day. Yeah, this is have to thank you to our immune system. So how to keep our immune system at the best condition? Good lifestyle. And be a healthy vegetarian is one of the way to improve our immune system. So there are so many research indicating that micronutrients have a major impact on health, the immune enhancing effect of dietary fibers or prebiotic or probiotics. So this research indicating that plant-based diet is the good diet to boost our immune system. So because plants have micronutrients, they have vitamins, minerals, phytochemical, and antioxidant, which we need it in a minute amount, but it have a great impact, and as well as this dietary fiber. And adding mushroom is very important because mushroom have a lot of micronutrients and they have a high content of protein. A number of us, maybe others, your relative, they said those that are vegetarian, we are lacking of protein because we didn't take the meat, and that you will have a protein deficiency or you cannot build up your muscle, all kind of things. But we have to eat varieties of food. So adding mushroom to the diet will increase the intake of micronutrient, and at the same time, you are able to increase the protein content. And this is just my research on the plant extract as an antiviral. I'm testing on 3 different types of plant extract. Then you see that when the plant extract, the concentrations, or the amount of the plant extract increases, you will see that that is reduced in terms of the dark spot seen, and this at the 400 microgram per mil. So the dark spot indicating that is we stain the virus infected cells. So the more the dark spot here, meaning that the higher the virus titer. So you see, when we are not, this one is a control, we are not adding any extract, it's a lot of dark spot. But gradually, when we increase the concentrations of the tested extract, you start to see that the number of dark spot reduced. So this indicating that the plant actually has the antiviral properties. So that's why we have to encourage people to change their diet to a plant-based diet. Then actually publish this finding. And one of the plant is Dryopteris, and then the other one is Morus alba, which is the mulberry leaf. So of course, these are basically more onto the TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. However, we can just eat Morus alba leaf, young leaf. It's very nice. So those who have the garden, you can start planting the blueberry. I see that, maybe I just do a quick play on this video. This video is in Chinese, in Mandarin. I hope maybe you're unable to understand, but you look at the picture being shows in the video.
大家好，我是李毅。你知道人体最大的免疫器官是哪一个吗？1. 肝脏，2. 肠子，3. 肺脏，还是4. 肾脏呢？你答对了吗？
Okay, I just do a translation. They asked that which of the organ in the body, in the humans, are the biggest immune organ. So it's actually our intestine.
答案是2，肠子。意外吧？原因是肠子包办了70%的免疫细胞。
So we have 70% of our immune cells in our intestine.
吃下去的东西，营养被肠道吸收，进入血液，但是病菌、病毒、脏东西也被。
So Chinese always say that 病从口入, meaning that whatever that we eat, actually we will eat the food as well as all the microbes into our gut.
吸收了，那怎么办？这个时候，肠道里免疫细胞的防卫反应就会集结，什么巨噬细胞、自然。
So we have T cells, we have NK cells, we have the macrophages, which are the immune cells in our intestine to come to protect all those invaded microorganisms.
细胞、T 细胞、NK 细胞就开始吞噬病菌，在坏细胞上面打洞，消灭敌人。那怎么样才能增加肠道的免疫功能呢？那我们都知道，增加好菌。
So how to improve our gut health is actually to increase the good microbiome.
我们常听人说要补充益生菌，对一般人来讲，健康的发酵。
So we always say that, oh, you have to eat the prebiotic or the probiotic so that you can improve the gut health.
像是裸露、泡菜、纳豆、味增、优酪乳、优格都有很丰富的益生菌。那我们有了益生菌，希望它在身体里面增长繁殖啊。那我们要喂它们吃什么呢？
Yeah, we have eaten a lot of probiotics. Yeah, but however, how are you going to improve the numbers of probiotics after you are eating them?
有一个名词叫做益生质，那这主要是水溶性的膳食纤维。
So that is a prebiotic. What is prebiotic? Prebiotic is actually the water-soluble fiber.
益生菌很爱吃，那要怎么补充这些益生质呢？像是全谷、根茎类的食物，各种蔬菜水果啊，都可以让这些肠道的益生菌。
So how to let the probiotic grow is actually to take more vegetables or high fiber content vegetables.
头好壮壮，健康又活泼。现在你有没有注意到，这些益生质的来源都是健康的素食？现在回到我们的话题，在新冠疫情期间，2021年 美国发表了一篇很重要的报道，他统计了6个国家，2800。
So there's a research performed in 2021. They collect the from 6 countries, 2,884 the professionals, medical doctors and the nurses who are taking care the COVID-19 patient.
84名照顾新冠病人的医护人员的饮食习惯，就会发现，不管吃什么，中奖的几率都一样。进一步的分析，发现素食的人变成重症的风险。
So they have found out that no matter whether you are a vegetarian or you are non-vegetarian, you will get infected. However, they found out that those who are on the vegetarian diet, they become severe condition actually drop down to 73%.
73%，而习惯吃肉的染疫变成重症的风险呢，竟然比素食者高出3.86。
So from here it says that they make a comparison. Those who take meat, they actually have a higher risk, 3.8, close to 4% of higher risk, 4 times of the higher risk to become a severe condition.
照顾好肠道内好菌的健康是提升免疫力的关键。现在你要记住哦，肠子里的好菌只吃素。
So the good microbe eat veggie.
坏菌只吃肉。
So bad microbe eat meat.
你吃什么，你养什么。现在你
So what you eat is what you keeping them.
知道下一餐应该吃什么了吧？
So, and of course, there are so many research talking about the antiviral probiotic. Because running out of time, we are going very fast. And this is the research I have done with my colleague. My colleague actually has the probiotics. So he actually gave me the probiotic for me to test it, whether they have an antiviral properties. So it can be used to prevent the respiratory infections viruses. And this is very preliminary data. And we found out that at a higher concentration, 12.5%, actually you start to see that is a inhibitory effect, meaning that this probiotic secreted probiotic solutions have these anti-rhinovirus properties. Well, research is still ongoing, and now we have to rethink. It's very colorful here. You will choose the left-hand one, or you want to choose to eat the right-hand one, or you want to choose at the one that has shown in the bottom panel. So I think most of us, or maybe all of us, say that, okay, I want to eat those on the right-hand side because it's so colorful and then it provides all the nutrients needed for us to keep us in good health. So changing is start from the dining table. So I like these Jingsi aphorisms. When we make changes, we are saving ourselves. When we can influence others, we are saving others. With this, I would like to call attention to everyone of this book. And this book actually written before the COVID, the next pandemic. They're talking about the next pandemic. But now I will take this one and ask myself, when the next pandemic will come after the SARS-CoV-2. We know there is, but how soon? Very soon. But we don't have the definite answer for you. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, we don't have, but we have to be prepared for a next pandemic. Thank you so much for listening. I pass back to Sister Tay.
Thank you very much, Sister Hui Yee, for your very educational talk. And so it is very clear that we have to make every effort to take the animal out of the virus animal human equation for all the reasons that Sister has shared with us. And it is true, right, Sister, because there was a lot of talk about a new virus that has been circulating in America, and that, you know, it will be reaching, once it's there, it reaches everybody's shores in a very short time, right? I'm not sure, but whether they even have a name, a new name for it. But yes, it is not a question of if, it is a question of when. So, brothers and sisters, this is where we will have to be so mindful about our eating. Sister, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
If the plant happened to be growing on a site where, let's say, many years ago, they bury some dead animals with these virus, does it get into the plant?
No, because humans and the plant virus are totally different types. So the human plants or the animal virus or the human virus will not be able to survive in the plant because our cell structure are different. However, the virus may contaminate the soil. When the farmer go and do some farming work, they may be touching the virus, and then they will maybe rub their eyes, or they were just eating without washing their hand. That is possibility that is transmitted through that kind of route, but not from the plant to the human.
Okay, thank you very much, sister.
Yeah.
Our next speaker is Brother Chong. Brother Chong from Singapore, whose topic on green eating and green living is a very apt continuation from sister's topic just now. Yeah, Brother Chong, over to you. Perhaps you can give us a small introduction of yourself and your work before your presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Hi everyone. Morning. So my name is. Can you see my Can you see my screen right now?
Yes.
Can you see my share screen? Yeah. Oh, okay. So I'm actually Kim Hong. So I'm from Singapore, but actually I was from Malaysia. And 20 years ago, I actually moved to Singapore, and I was now I'm a Singaporean. So actually, I'm a volunteer at the Singapore Tzu Foundation as a community volunteer, and also involved in the environmental protection team. I'm a 和气环保干事, I think for about 5 years now. So today, continue with the topics. I just saw the Hui Yee, Sister Hui Yee, what she shared. Now, I wanted to today, hopefully I can just share with you what are the other benefits of the so-called plant-based diet or vegetarian. So today, let me move to my second slide. So actually, before I start my presentation, or my sharing, I want to share with you about we have this new Grow On Gallery at Singapore, one of our center in Singapore. So we actually invited you. Next time when you come to Singapore, you can come to visit us. So we actually open daily, Monday to Sunday. We do have a volunteer guiding the visitors from Monday to Saturday only. But we are over here is not only about the environmental protection, but we all talk about the sustainability. So it's very much different from the past. So we actually incorporated the social and the economy. Okay. So actually, regarding today's topics, I want to also share with them my recent episodes. Like I personally actually feel the impact. Like for example, back in March, because I said just now I already shared, I was from Malaysia and my parents is still staying there. And in March, we actually have facing this flood. It's like they are saying this is the worst in 20 years time. We do a counter flood before, but not in this scale. And so this one, we really struggle with it, and we really a lot of damages. But in Singapore, we also never not easier as well, because like the weather is getting hotter and hotter. So normally in the afternoons, I never never turn on the aircon, so it's very hot. And so again, all these are the day-to-day what we're facing. So for this, regarding this climate change, how can we deal with that? So right now, I would like to talk about Eat Green and how it actually can help to save our planet. So right now, I want to show you a clip to tell you that why we are in deep trouble right now.
As the sun's rays reach the Earth's surface, some are absorbed and re-emitted as heat. Greenhouse gases, such as water vapor and carbon dioxide, absorb and re-radiate some of this heat. Increased amounts of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere mean more heat is trapped, warming the Earth. Human activities, especially the burning of fossil fuels, have increased concentrations of atmospheric carbon dioxide by 40%, mainly since 1900. Global average surface temperature has increased by 0.8 degrees Celsius over that time. Other changes to the climate in recent decades can be seen in the warming of the oceans, a rise in sea level, decreasing snow and ice cover in the northern hemisphere, and a decline in sea ice in the Arctic. If emissions continue unchecked, then further warming of 2.6 to 4.8 degrees Celsius would be expected by the end of this century. Even at the low end, this would have serious implications for human societies and the natural world.
So the temperature, I mean, the global temperature is going to be higher. So why is this about global warming? So actually, this climate change is caused by the global warming, and global warming is also is about the greenhouse effect. And greenhouse effect is actually, we have these greenhouse gases, 6 types of the greenhouse gases, which are trapped in the atmosphere. So, but we do need the greenhouse gases. In the past, we are okay. We have no, our condition is ideal with the balance greenhouse gases. We are okay, but right now is too much imbalance. So we have too much greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, and which turn out the heat. And it's the greenhouse gases is like a blanket. It will actually absorb all these heat and without emitting back to the space. So these are the 6 types of greenhouse gases. So the most common one will be carbon dioxide. Next will be methane. Then will be nitrous oxide and sulfur dioxide and fluorinated gases. So you can see the sources. So carbon dioxide is the fossil fuel combustion. Any organic item, matter, when we burn it, it will emit the carbon dioxide. And then the next is the methane. So later, when we are going to share with you the cow, when we even human being, the cow, when they burn up the methane. So this is very much potent. I mean, it's more impactful than the carbon dioxide. And then the next the third most common one will be nitrous oxide, which is fertilizer use. So these 3 will make up the most of the greenhouse gases. So then we should see, later on should see how we can reduce these. We call it the greenhouse gases equivalent emission. So just out from the video, you also see that the climate is getting worse and worse. And actually back in 2015, so all the various organizations and the country, they actually gather at the Paris and they sign a climate agreement. So their goals, the outcome is they agree that they want to control the global warming below the 2 degrees Celsius. So what do we mean 2 degrees Celsius? Actually is compared to pre-industrial levels, which is 19th century, which is the period is around 1850 to 1880. So since then, the temperature have been rising, and right now is close to 1.5. And actually, for the agreement, we also like to set the target below 1.5, which is ideal for a human being, and it's more livable climate. But are we going to keep that, or we're going to exceed that? So that is very much depend on us. So as of now, actually we left with 4 years time, which we're going to hit the 1.5 degrees. So the 1.5 degrees is, once we hit this tipping point, will be irreversible. So after that, the temperature might be keep rising more. So like come to this chart, you can see. So actually based on our current policy, if let's say without any pledges or targets, it's actually we are going to see 2.5 to 2.9 degrees Celsius at the end of this century, which is 2100. But with all those targets set by the net zero targets set by every country, then we are able to see 2.1 degree at the end of the century. But that is only the targets, but they have to put into action. So even with the target, but with no action, we might really go to the 2.9 degrees path. So seeing this chart that it seems that we are really going to exceed the 2 degrees Celsius target. And we are not talking about the 1.5. I think the 1.5 degrees Celsius is going to break it soon. So again, are we going to live with this or can we do more? So these are all set by all the policymakers, but how about us? So actually we can do more as consumer. For everyone, we can actually play our part. We can do more ourselves. So this is just a show what is the difference between 1.5 degree and 2 degrees Celsius. So the difference could be quite actually we have this few area, extreme weather, species, water availability, people, and then the sea level rise. And so more importantly is when we hit the 2 degrees Celsius, actually the coral reef will disappear. 70% of the coral reef will be lost, and then they will affect the eco chain. So again, so this is what we are seeing in the future. So how can we mitigate? So should look, as we know, the climate change is caused by the global warming is caused by the greenhouse gases. So when we look at the greenhouse gases emission, we are actually from the chart, the overall breakdown, we actually can see that we use a lot of power. When you power the aircon, you also use electricity. When you go to work or you drive or you take public transport, you still need power or energy. And then another area will be the manufacturing and construction. Then come to agriculture, which what we eat. So again, today we shall tell you by eating green, we can actually reduce a lot of the greenhouse gases emission. So in all, actually, a quarter of the global emission is come from food, so 26%. So others will be like combination of others so-called sources, the activities, human activities. And then when we talk about food, half of the emission is come from animal products. And 50% of it is come from beef and lamb. So you can see the animal product is very carbon intensive. And if you look at the whole list, actually you can see if you talk about the impact, beef, lamb, all the meat is actually at a high impact. And then again, all these impact actually consider the whole supply chain. Like for example, if you import some of the food products, you need to import from overseas, then all those shipping, transportation is taken to the consideration as well. So just right here, I want to share with you some of the some fun fact in Singapore. So this is what the statistic in Singapore. Although we know that beef and mutton are the most carbon intensive food by kilo or per serving, however, the consumption or the total emission by food type, the highest is pork in Singapore. So meaning that Singapore eat a lot of the people in Singapore eat a lot of pork and then followed by chicken and then beef. So this is where we should become the potential for us to reduce. So if you can convert some of the food choice to green veggie, we have the we are able to reduce it further. So right here, over here, if you it's a show of the so-called the ratio. If talk about the footprint, the total footprint, I consider everything that you eat and the fruits or the snack that we eat, we take. So if you look at the carnivore, which the meat eater will be 4.4. And then if you talk about the meat vegetarian will be 1.2 or vegan will be 0.9, which is around 4 times. So the carbon footprint of the meat eater and the vegetarian or vegan will be around 4 times. I think very much similar to what Hui Yee's sister shared just now when she said the immune system or the chances of to get the so-called becomes when you get infected and chances of getting the meat eater or getting the severe condition will be higher, around 3.8%, 3.8 times. So it is around the same ratio. So again, so this is only eat green. I believe we all the brothers and sisters, we already are vegetarian, but what can we do more to cool down the planet? Actually, we can. There are many various ways to reduce the carbon footprint. First is reduce food waste. So I believe when we prepare the foods, we do have the so-called the cai tou cai wei. So all the so-called food scrap, the fruit and veggie scrap. So how should we do that? So do we throw it away, or we just we can do it? You can do something to turn it to something useful. So like for Singapore, 50% of our waste going to the incineration or going to the landfill is 50% of it are food waste. So Singapore also facing a lot of big issue on this food waste. And for Tzu Chi, we actually have we set as example. So as you know, annually we have this charity fair, but we name it as a green charity fair. So during this event, we actually put in a lot of efforts trying to save a lot of the so-called food item, like for example, just I talk about the vegetable scraps, and then the cooked one. So because during the charity fair, we have these many store preparing for different preparing many vegetarian dishes to sell to the visitor. So we have two types of the food, so-called food waste, but we try to recover it. So for the vegetable scraps, we actually send it to a school, United School. They have this bin, which at the bottom, you can see they have this area with the segregate with the cement compound. I mean, we actually send it to there and then let it compose. And then another for the cooked one, we actually have to send it to a food digester. So our partner is we have few partners, but usually we send it to a hospital, which is a hospital. They have their own food digester. We normally will send it to them. But we also have facing an issue, problem, because they have, for this machine, they have a fixed quota or limited quota. So for us, we also, that doesn't mean that we can send it to for food digester. We will not control. But again, now because you know that we it's a limited capacity. So during the event, we also need to control. So during the event, we actually ask the so-called the store owner to reduce the food waste. Although it can be recovered, but again, we also want to limit it because we don't have the capacity to process it. So now I will show you the video.
近年开始与本地国际学校及医院合作，将义卖会所产生的食物垃圾进行生熟食厨余的分类回收。
以往这个厨余通常我们就是因为没有回收，我们就当做垃圾处理，所以它的量特别多。所以今年为了完善这个集落位，所以我们也是把这个厨余归类在内，就是说可以放弃 量可以做到一点即可回收，而不浪费这些资源。
食物垃圾约占新加坡产生的总垃圾量的10%，但其中只有18%的食物垃圾被回收。
因为在新加坡，厨余回收不是一个很成熟的一个题目，所以我们义卖会的摊主也是来自各方，可能他对厨余一点都没有概念，所以我们前面的那个教育，所以厨余回收要怎么分类，什么东西可以回收，什么东西不能回收，这些事先的教育很重要。
为朝向资源永续及零废弃的趋势迈进，源头减量、资源回收现在已成了先进国家厨余处理的指导方针。大爱新闻陈雅英，新加坡慈济基金会报道。
Okay, so next, so we talk about how we can reduce the food waste. Now we have to talk about support local produce, local and sustainable food sources. So because just now when I shared with you about the carbon footprint, the carbon footprint is cover the whole supply chain. So, and for this method, if we going to keep on importing, like for Singapore case context, we are actually heavily relying on the imported food source. So again, there will be a high so-called high emission. So and how we can reduce that? Actually, for Singapore, we also have this some campaign or so-called goals, target and goals to promote the local produce and to get more so-called local farmer to on board, and hopefully they can achieve 30% of the so-called become self-reliance of food source coming from locally, and that 30% of the local produce should help to reduce some of the emission. And so how we can differentiate? For Singapore, we have this logo, fresh produce logo, and it will tell us that it is a local produce and is certified by the SFA. And now, right now, the challenges, the pick-up rate is very low, not high yet, because a lot of people feedback is due to price. But hopefully in the future, and all these local farmer, they used to they are normally a few years ago they facing like 50% of the unsold food veggie, but I think it's improved now. I think it's reduced to 30% only, but yet 30% is still a lot. And the unsold food they have to distribute to others so-called organization, or they try to distribute to other like some of the organization, or to distribute away. So, but hopefully we can more people to will support this local produce, and then we will avoid this waste. So another thing is we also can think about the another type of the food, which is the ugly food, because when we go to supermarket, a lot of people, you see people picking, choosing the food. They are trying to choose the best looking one, and doesn't mean I mean this is normal to everyone, but again we should consider, we have to rethink. But how about those ugly or imperfect one? Are they really uneatable, or should we actually how can we so-called use them? So actually over here, we also have this concept, some of the staff also try to promote this ugly food, and so they will get it and they will collect it and sell it. And they also will promote some of the ugly food recipes. And I personally also participate some of the food rescue mission, which we go to some of the so-called distributor at night to see to collect some of the unsold items. And then over in Singapore, we have this community fridge, which will put at the so-called the common space. There's this fridge at the common space, which is a fridge, and we will put it there, and which is is to be shared with the others, the so-called the resident, but it's on selected area only. So this is one way we can, in our local supermarket, we also start to see some of the supermarkets sell those budget items, so-called budget, they package it as a budget, so they can sell it very cheap. So in supermarket we can sell the same item but with different condition but different pricing. So this should suit different kind of the so-called group of consumers. So this is very good to reduce this to prevent this turn into a waste. So next eating green and others, or we can also further reduce the packaging weight, because when you eat, you definitely need to use container, right? So do you actually use this so-called our reusable container? Right now, when we go out, we still see a lot of people, so-called when they take away, they will still use the disposable plastic container provided by the store owner. So actually, we know that we have this habits of bringing our own container, so reusable container. So I also would like to encourage I try to already encourage my colleague and even my friends, even my family members, to remember to bring to have this habit. And I also remind them they have to bring this together with them on any day, like for example, because you don't know when anytime you want to tap out, so you really actually have to bring it with you. So in Tzu Chi, we have this term, like we all know the 5 Wu Bao, 环保 Wu, the utensil, the so-called the bowl, the utensil, the cup, and then the so-called the bag, and then the handkerchief. So all these 5 items is considered 随身物宝, meaning that you have to carry this with you. 随身物宝. So this is very important. So you might have this container, but you're at home, then if you're not bringing it out with you, then you are not able to use it. So again, with the wu bao, you also have this reusable shopping bag. Then you can avoid taking the plastic bag as well. So all these small action will lead to big environmental impact. So that's just how I share with you all those government, nation level target and so on. We should play a part as also. So at the end, a healthy diet for a healthy planet. So every choice counts, and over here, we should eat mindfully and then we can live sustainability. Thank you. Thank you.
You have finished, Brother Chong?
Yeah, finish right.
Okay. Thank you very much, Brother Chong, for your very interesting and presentation that is so full of facts and good information. Particularly like your take on embracing ugly food. I mean, it is so true that we shouldn't judge somebody by the appearance, right? Or including food, yeah. And I think that Tzu Chi Singapore really is so inspiring in taking leadership of these promoting green living effort. We have many sessions from your brothers and sisters joining us and sharing with us all this concept. And I think the rest of us should take inspiration from there and follow closely behind. Yeah? So all of us, we 加油 on this living clean and eating clean effort. Thank you very much, Brother Chong.
Thank you.
With this, I think we can come to a close for today's session. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters, for your company for yet another session. I know that you will all be busy now, having to go to your activities, and we wish you a very happy, meaningful Buddha Day, Mother's Day, and Tzu Chi's Day. But before we leave, may I ask everyone to stand up, put your hands together, and make and offer 3 bows to the triple gem. First bow, second bow, third bow, and a bow to our master's abode. Abode master, sorry. Okay. Have a good day, everybody, and we'll see you again next week.
Happy
Bye.
Mother Day.
Sister Su Ching, we can end the session.